what is it about them that keep no? And I stopped myself right there. And it's like, it's not them. What is it about you that keeps allowing all these things to keep happening, to keep allowing these type of individuals in your life? And then the common denominator happened. And that was, I don't love myself. I couldn't give a fuck if I lived or died half the time. I kind of just floated through life hoping that one day something was going to change. But then I realized that I had zero self-love, like zero. So I had to learn to start loving myself. Normally I do introductions and all that stuff, but if you're tuning in, you already know what show this is. You already know who the host is. This is my guest and one of my very best friends, Samantha Vosilla Duce, and I'm so happy to have you on the episode because today we're doing an episode called The Never Ending Conversation on Mental Health, and this is actually part one. But before we get into all that, yeah, so my stomach. So on Friday, this week, the whole week, Sammy, I said, I am not going to do anything crazy with portioning anymore. I'm noticing that I'm gaining quite a bit of weight, especially around my stomach. So I figure I'm not willing to get rid of this food yet. So what do? Let's just stop eating so much of it. Let's start with that. And we'll
Good
continue,
idea.
right? And we'll carry on from there. So I did it well all week, felt great. And then Friday, I had one chocolate lava cake, and it fucked me up the whole weekend because obviously I had dinner with you and your family on
Mhm.
Saturday, and I couldn't just not eat. And then there was so much amazing pies, and I ate way
I
too
know.
much. And then yesterday I felt like total garbage as well, but I ate little bits and I was okay. And I thought today would be okay. And today was not okay. So yeah, it's been a rough one. But I did have turkey today, but you didn't obviously because you had yours on Saturday.
Are you kidding? Like there was so much leftovers from Saturday that yesterday we had pretty much the same thing for dinner, like all the leftovers. And then today we had leftovers plus like Kevin made like roasted potatoes and like sauteed Brussels sprouts and everything. And he like brings me this plate. It's like I'm like, who's eating that?
Are we splitting this or is
oh
this
my
just yours?
oh my god, I literally had like a little bit of each thing and he's like, are you full? I'm like, dude, like I'm like, that was like half a bag of potatoes on my fucking plate. Like,
Half a
yeah,
bag. I mean, your sister, who was the one who hosted us, made 3 bags of potatoes. I swear to God, it was a tray this fucking big of mashed potatoes.
we honestly like we go overboard. It's not even funny. Like, I don't I think like it's the Italian in us that like we want to make sure that there's more than enough food and like we never want it to be like, oh, there's not enough, it's gone. But like we cook for like the whole neighborhood. It's ridiculous. We always have so much leftovers. It's unreal.
The whole neighborhood, fuck, more like the whole higher, lower part of the province. I've never seen so much food
Right?
for like us, just us. And I've
I
been to
know.
tons of your functions, and I still have
Yeah.
yet to see that much food.
Well,
It
wait
comes
till the
close.
Halloween party.
Oh, please, for the love of God, everyone else needs some potatoes. Just cook one. Where did you go? Did you freeze? Oh, you froze, but you're back.
I did. Yeah, I'm back.
That's okay. Thankfully, you weren't saying anything, so it's not like it
No, I
made it
wasn't.
awkward. That's awesome. So, anyway, so as I was telling the listeners here, you're one of my very best friends, and we've been friends for actually. Can you name a year on how many years it's been?
I've been thinking about this actually for like the last couple days. Like once we decided I was gonna come on with you today, I was like, how long have Stuart and I been friends? Like I know like way back in the day, we were like we met through um like a mutual friend at the time, right? But when we actually became like really close friends, I'm not even sure, to be honest.
It would have to be. Now, you got married in 2016, right?
Yeah.
I would have to say at least a year or two before that is when we became really close. Like we've been friends for years. I tell the story all the time. You have no idea how we truly met. And it was, I want to say I was about like 12 or 13, and I was in Milton Mall, and you were working at Ardennes at the time, and myself
Okay.
and my friend Paul Moss came through, and Paul, who to you have zero recollection on, he was the one that made the introduction because he was really close with Travis at the time, and Travis and you knew each other. So that's how he knew to come and speak with you. I imagine to grab a joint or smoke or something.
Hmm.
Because we all ended up having a session in your Chevrolet that night. And
Okay.
yeah, and I remember that, but you don't
Wow,
because
that's a
I'm
long
just
time ago.
irrelevant.
No, like I remember, I remember that time because I remember like Ben coming around, and I remember obviously Travis and Mike Smart, I think was his name,
Yep.
right? So like I remember that time and this like stuff happening, and I knew that I met you back then. I just don't know like when we had that, like I don't know, when we just became like friends outside of the other people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And it was definitely it was because of the brick, because you saw on Facebook that I was looking for a job, and you said, "Hey, we're looking to hire here." And I started off
Hmm.
as a sales rep, and that's when we started hanging out. And then it's when I came back just before you got married is when we got really close.
Okay.
Because one of the first
You
stints,
think? Because I
it
feel like
has to be.
I feel like we would have been like a lot closer before then because um like asked you to be in my wedding party.
Yeah,
So
we were like, don't get me wrong, we were, but it wasn't like we were good friends. We were good friends, but I wouldn't say we were anywhere close to like best friends or anything like that.
okay.
We hung out a couple times when you were living in that basement apartment, and
Hmm.
Jamie and Chris
Yeah.
lived up top. And we did like the Twilight marathon because you were obsessed with them. And I said, "Hey, I'll give it a go." And honestly, they're not that bad. People over
No, they're not.
exaggerate everything. There's a pretty decent. It's not my favorite movies, but I'm not afraid to admit I didn't mind them. But it wasn't really beyond the couple hangouts and that. And then I came back to the brick, and then you started introducing me to Kev and that. And then that's when we all became like really close.
Okay.
Yeah. You're like,
I'm glad
sure.
somebody remembers. I don't know.
Oh man, but there's like, I was actually thinking about it today. Did you know the brick card changed? I know this is like irrelevant to listeners, and I really don't give a shit because it's just us shooting the shit. But you know that there's no more, it's not called the brick card anymore. It's called something totally different.
What's a card? What's it
Oh,
called?
was it clear? Clear?
What's a card?
What's the card? Yeah, okay, that's what we're trying to get out here. It is I don't know, it's like a green and blue card or whatever. It's just not the same, because I was looking at mattresses and shit, and I was
Okay.
thinking, you know what, maybe I'll do it on a brick card. And then I looked, and yeah, it's a totally different deal now.
I think it still kind of works the same.
The principle's the same, the concept the same. It's
Yeah.
just a different company, different color. Like it's no longer branded the brick. It looks like it's something else.
But anyway, who cares about the brick? Let's be honest.
It's true, but there was a lot of good times at the brick, though, I must say.
That is true. Actually, I was a memory came up today on Facebook with Matt Hauser, and we had a little chit chat on Messenger about the good times that we had at the brick. And you know what? Like I spent a lot. Like I was there for 7 years, right? So I made a lot of friends from the brick. And honestly, like I think that's probably the number one thing that I miss about there is the people that you interact with. And even though I don't think there's many that are still, brick for lifers, but yeah, that I met a lot of good people through there.
Well, shout out to Tom, because Tom's still there.
Yeah. Tom is still there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is shocking to me, but hey.
But I mean, Tom has been at the brick since I think 1983, he said, like the year that I was born. So
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely far before I was born. That's for sure.
yeah.
87 over here,
Okay,
not as
okay.
old as 83. So,
No, not close enough.
oh, that's
Mhm,
hilarious. Okay, so obviously we've talked about how we've met and came together, but the
mhm.
one thing that we've yet to discuss yet that we have to discuss before we move on to the mental health portion of this conversation is your wedding. We don't need to go into all the details about the wedding, but we need to mention about, okay, so you said that I was in your party, but I never made
Mhm.
it to your wedding.
No, you did not.
Should we tell the tale?
Sure.
So obviously I was asked to be in the wedding party on Kev's side, standing up for shout outs to Kev if you're listening. I doubt you are, but if you are, shout outs to my boy Kev. I was a drunken mess the whole entire time I was there. I've never been to an all-inclusive resort. I've never been told you can drink as much as you want and there's no charge. So, and at the time I was still a drinker. And I went from the moment I got there, the second I got in the room, I cracked a beer, went into the to the backyard thing. And apparently this wasn't, no, it was my room, but I ended up switching with your mom. But I was just taking in the scenery and I'm like, this is unbelievable. So needless to say, I went with those emotions and those feelings of being in this new third world country and continuing that with alcohol. It got stupid so many nights.
Mhm.
The night before your wedding, I brought all the boys together for the wedding party and I said, boys, no drinking tonight, no nonsense. We got to stay cool for tomorrow. We got to be up at this time and blah, 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 ray. So I was being responsible and people still went out and drank that night. I woke up the next morning sick as fuck, like sick as fuck. And I looked down at my foot and my foot had this, what looked like a big bite on it. And that bite then like it was like bubbled up and pussed up and then popped. So that was wrong.
I
But
didn't
that,
know that.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like a spider bite or something like that.
Oh
So
shit.
yeah, so it leads to the I don't know what happened because the night beforehand I was at the buffet eating dinner and I cooked into a piece of chicken and it looked quite pink. But stupid
Mhm.
me, obviously I didn't eat the chicken, but stupid me didn't toss the utensil. So I'm still using the same fork. So either I got salmonella from that fork or I got some weird insect bite on my foot that, put some poison in me
Mhm.
because I can't recall a time that I've ever been so sick. Like it was coming out all ends, and I keep
Oh my
looking
god.
at the clock and going, okay, it's like 5 hours till Sammy's wedding. I'm okay. I can recover. It's 4 hours till Sammy's wedding. I'm okay. I can recover to the point where it gets like an hour before your wedding, and Amy's knocking on the door going, are you okay? And I'm like, I can't do it. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I'm going to make a mess everywhere if I leave this room right now. And I have never felt so awful in my whole life because I feel sick as a dog now. But now I'm also missing my best friend's wedding, to which I came here for in the first place, behaved myself the night before, still got sick as fuck, and still missed your wedding. And from what I've been told, I missed a hell of a time.
Honestly, I think that it must have been the chicken. I mean, mind you, I've never been bit by a spider in a tropical place, so I don't really know what type of side effects you would have from that. But the fact that you were, spewing from both ends, to me sounds like you ate something, that wasn't maybe fully cooked, or you swallowed some of the water,
That's
because
possible.
that is possible. And seeing as you had never been to a tropical place, or like even the Dominican, you probably wouldn't know, like, don't brush your teeth with the tap water. Don't, like a lot of people say, like, don't eat the lettuce, things like that. But I don't know. I've never really had an issue when I've gone away. And I love, like, I eat the salad and everything. Like, I don't care. Maybe I just have a strong stomach. I don't know.
You definitely do, at least stronger than mine. I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure a
Yeah,
newborn that was born
anybody's
5
is
minutes
stronger
ago,
than yours.
right? But like that newborn born 5 minutes ago already has a stronger
Yeah,
stomach than me. So,
yeah,
uh, but man, that was like of all things, right? You travel all this way, and there was suspense to this because this
yeah,
was booked what a year and a half before it actually happened.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
That was a stressful time because like nobody wanted to even tell me that you were sick. I got a text message. I was getting my hair and my makeup done, and I got a text message saying like Stuart's really sick, and um, so of course I'm like panicking, right? Like I'm like, oh no, like I don't want my guests to be sick, right? Um, and then I didn't even know that you weren't going to be like that you weren't even coming until I started walking down the aisle and I seen Tom in your place. And I was
what was so?
like,
What went through your
well,
head when you saw them?
well, I was kind of just like, what the fuck? Like what's going on? Where's Stuart? And then yeah, I found out that like you were really, really sick. So you did end up coming out later on in the evening though. We got you to come out just to the little bar.
I made sure of it because I felt so awful, and
I know.
I felt like A, I owed you that, and two, I wanted to prove that it wasn't just hungover because I was acting a fool partying that whole entire week, so I didn't want that to be the perception. But I don't remember anything from that night. I don't remember leaving my room. I don't remember going to this little bar you speak of. I don't remember any of it.
All right. Well,
That's how
you
out of it I
did.
was. Yeah, no, I believe you, but that's how out of it I was, and I couldn't believe
Yeah.
like I just wish your wedding was like the next day over because the very next day I
Yeah.
wasn't terrible, but I was much better the next day.
Yeah. Well, I know like we all like literally came to your door after the reception was over when we were going back to like change. And like you did come to the door, but we were able to convince you to just come out and like, have some water and some smokes and whatever. But
Oh, cigarettes. Yeah, I remember I was talking on the weekends, like, yeah, those are my last swan songs with cigarettes, them trips.
yeah, I know. My friend's mom, she bought a house in the Dominican. So she's going, I think sometime October, and she'll come back in May because she has a house here as well. And I'm like debating on whether I should ask her to like bring me a carton of those candy cigarettes because like you just can't get them there. And like the odd time here and there, like I still smoke and like those are the things that I want to fucking smoke. Like they're just so good. And now I understand why they don't have those types of cigarettes here in Canada because like all the kids are going to be like, yeah, I want to smoke the candy cigarettes because remember the berry ones with
Oh,
the mint.
I remember greatly. So to give
Yeah.
context to anyone listening that's wondering what a candy smoke is, a
Yeah.
lot of countries they have like a snap filter where you press the filter in between and it snaps off like a mint or something like that, so it
Hmm.
increases the flavor. So you want to have your smoke-free quarters just regular, and you want to end that shit with some mint, you can snap it off and have a menthol at any time. Well, these ones had like a berry one
Hmm.
and a mint one. So you could go just berry smoke, or you can go berry mint, or you can go mint. It was too much because I smoked through
Oh,
that
it was
carton
great.
way too fast. That's why,
Yeah.
oh, too much in a positive way. Like they were fantastic.
And they're super light too, right? Like, so somebody who would smoke like, like a regular cigarette or even like a light cigarette, these things you would like puff through a cigarette in like a minute because they were like ultra light but with like a candy flavor. So good.
They were great.
So
I
bad.
don't know how you smoke like the way you do, where it's this woman can literally, guys, have one cigarette on the course of
Mhm.
an evening and not have one again for several months after. And it's like it's no big deal.
I've always been like that though. Like at one point I considered myself a smoker, but I didn't like if it was more so when I was around people. Rarely did I ever like go outside on my own to have a smoke. So like yeah, I could go like weeks or months without smoking and it doesn't bother me. And then I can pick up and have a cigarette. I don't cough, I don't nothing. Like it's like I never stopped. and then I won't smoke again for a couple weeks, couple months, like however. I've always been like that.
Well, lucky you, because I
Yeah.
can't. The second I have one, and it's just like,
I know.
oh, it's like gross. And then I keep smoking it, and then it's just like, well, let's just have another. And then before you know it, you're buying a
Yeah.
carton.
Yeah, I hear ya.
So let's get into, no pun intended, after this weekend, the meat and potatoes of the conversation here, and that is mental health. And I wanted to start this because I feel like there is conversations going, but I feel like they're at select times. And I really wanted to use my platform, however small it is, to whoever big it can be one day, to just continuously keep having different episodes, different conversations, and have people like yourself on where we can talk about
Mhm.
your experiences, my experiences. And I think it's really important and helpful for people to hear these things, because the one thing that a lot of us who suffer from mental health issues feel is that we're alone, or maybe not everyone understands us. So with that being said, what is your, do you have a specific like issues that have been diagnosed in with mental health issues, or do you have like anxiety, depression, but that's where it stops?
Again, it was something that I've been thinking about the last couple days. I think, to be honest with you, I think something happened to me, like chemically, like that caused me to start having anxiety. So before I was getting married, like earlier in the year of 2016, I was I got a personal trainer, and I was like working out like hardcore. um I was not eating, and my body, like I ended up going to a naturopath, and what he said to me was that my body went into stress mode. Like there, so all of a sudden, I just like I didn't want to like leave my bed. I would go to work, I would come home, I would go upstairs to my room, get, in my pajamas and stay in bed for the rest of the night. This was when I was living at my parents' house. We were waiting for our condo. And yeah, like it was really weird. I couldn't be in a room that had like bright lights. Like I started feeling really weird. And my naturopath gave me some stuff, and I thought it did make me feel better, but suddenly I just slowly developed anxiety. I used to be a huge pot smoker, right? And at from when something like I feel like it just like clicked in my brain something, and I couldn't smoke weed anymore because I started getting like super paranoid. That feeling that people look for when they smoke a joint, that scared the shit out of me. And um, I've never fully recovered from that. And then so many things have happened since then, that I feel like have just like pulled me back when I feel like I am doing better. So this was in April of 2016, and in July of 2016, my dad suddenly passed away, and he had a heart attack, which um, but from there, I developed even more of a paranoia because every like ache or pain or anything that I felt outside of normal in my body, I thought, oh my God, I'm dying. Um, so that, I mean, and that has carried on with me. I feel like more recently, I'm getting like a little bit better, but like I don't do anything that would trigger it. Like I would never try to smoke a joint, never, because I feel like mentally I would be I would be going into it with a bad, like in a bad state of mind already, if that makes sense. So, um, yeah, like I just feel like my anxiety stemmed from some kind of chemical imbalance in my brain.
Now, when you say your anxiety, like what's anxiety to you? What do you feel when you have anxiety? How could you describe it if you even can?
So feeling wise, like I will get like heart palpitations, um, or I literally get paranoid, and it's like a snowball effect, right? I will say get a quick like heart palpitation, and then I'm like start freaking out, like, okay, what was that? And then I get panicky about it. Um and I stress about it. It's like it's something I think about all the time. So like if I have like a feeling of, if I feel overwhelmed or something, um I just start getting these symptoms, and I don't know if it's anxiety or if it's something else. I think that um i was I had a doctor that literally was like a pill pusher. So anything that I said to him, he would just be like, "Oh, okay, take this." So I was given a prescription for lorazepam to use on like a needed basis, and I only use it if my anxiety or stress or panic or whatever you paranoia, whatever you want to call it, gets really, really bad. Where I know I can't like talk my way out of it. I started meditating to like, practice my breathing and stuff like that to bring myself down, which I think has really made a difference. The last time I filled a prescription for lorazepam, I think was when I went to the Dominican in 2019, and I only did it because I was like, you know what? Who knows what's going to happen? I don't want to be stuck somewhere where I don't have it and I'm going to need it. And I probably, from 2019 to now, I've probably taken 2 pills out of the 30.
Well, that's really good.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised whatsoever that you went to your family doctor and said, "Hey, this is what I got going on." And they're just like, "Here you go. Here's your
Hmm.
script." And that's part of it's part of what really upsets me in the medical world is that
Yeah.
you have big pharma, and big pharma runs everything. They run the doctors, and that's how doctors get paid, thousands and thousands of dollars a week or whatever the hell they make. Like
Hmm.
it's it's really upsetting because what should have happened was is you should have been put through a battery of tests where they can more narrow it down, because it's difficult, right? It's not
Hmm.
like you can go get a blood test done and they'd be like, "Oh, you've got according to this blood test, depression, anxiety, blah blah blah." They have to do mental tests on you, and they have to send
Yeah.
you to someone that you can have conversations with, but they never want to do that. It's like, "Here you
Oh,
go."
wait.
It's one of those things that really needs to change in the industry, but I find it's going to be one of those things that are really difficult to change. But good for
Hmm.
you for finding ways, because that's one of the things I was going to ask you, is that a part of what you're describing to me sounds like, your own head just going at you in a million different directions and a million
Hmm.
different voices. How do you bring those down? So you mentioned meditation. Is there other stuff that you do to try and bring those voices down?
Well, I've like more recently gotten into like CBD, which I feel like it kind of just like keeps me like grounded. Um, I don't really, I don't know, like I feel like my anxiety is sometimes I feel uh, like I don't have it, which is weird because I know that I go through moments of, like I said, that panic and feeling paranoid and everything. And so, um, from what I've researched, I think that that's anxiety. But like when I try to think back to like say like when the last time I had an anxiety attack or a panic attack. It's been a long time. Um, like I said, meditation. I've used the CBD, the oil, and then um, I smoke. I'll smoke a CBD joint just because I want to feel like I'm smoking a joint with my husband sometimes. You know what I mean? I miss like being able to have those like moments with my friends and stuff, like, hey, you want to smoke a joint? You know what I mean? And now I'm just like a total loser. I'm like, I yeah, I'm like, no, no, that's okay, because I'll be like pacing back and forth, thinking I'm having a heart attack. Like, I think a lot of it has to do with like my own, like it takes over my body, I guess. And, but again, I think that that has to do with that chemical imbalance. Like, I really think that something happened in my brain, um, or like in my body. I think it's my brain.
It's definitely your brain. It's a,
Back, yeah,
yeah, it's a chemical imbalance somewhere within your brain that produces
yes.
whatever's going on with you. And I'm no doctor, so I can't obviously ignore it. Are you suggesting that I nail it down for you? But what I'm thinking
No.
a lot of it is it's hard to say when it happened, but you could have always had it. There's just probably maybe a triggering instance where it kicked off for you, or um, it'd be interesting if it happened right around the time when your dad passed away, because then you can kind of narrow it down to an event. But the fact
Mhm.
that you're just kind of living your life and creating these plans of marriage and stuff, and then boom, one day it happens. That's how it happens for some people. And what you're describing is definitely anxiety. There's definitely levels and degrees of it. It's
Mhm.
not, there's your standard and then there's all different types. So how does that affect, how did it, I should say, because things have got better, how did that affect your day-to-day life? Did it ever lead to depression? Did it ever lead to um thoughts in your mind that were never there before, like maybe like suicidal ideations or anything like that? Or has it just been mostly panic and anxiety?
I think as like when I was younger, I definitely had a lot of depression. Like growing up, I was always like the fat kid, and I got made fun of a lot in like elementary school and stuff. And so, I definitely went through some moments where I felt like I wasn't worthy to live. And I'll be honest with you, I there was a moment where um, I did take like I don't think I've ever told anybody this. So anyway, I took like a lot of pills one time, and because I just felt like, you know, like I said, I just felt like I wasn't worthy to live. I was getting made fun of a lot. And yeah, and when I went to my doctor, his um, reaction to the whole situation, he told me that I was pathetic. And from that point on, I was kind of just like this guy is not, like, he's not legit. Like, I'm not going to take what he says very seriously, because he was just very judgy um and always just trying to, throw pills down my throat. And when I thought, hey, I'm going to, you know throw pills down my throat and hopefully, end things, he turned around and called me pathetic. So I don't know. um I think as an adult, it's I definitely feel, depressed sometimes, but I wouldn't say that I have depression.
Right. How old were you when all that happened? Because this is the first time I'm hearing it. I never knew anything about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, I don't think I've ever really told anybody. Um, I would say I was probably like like middle school, like grade 6, grade 7.
And so you were around 11, 12 years old at the time. And what was the result once you took all those pills? Obviously, you're still with us, but I mean, did you take all those pills with alcohol? Did you just throw them all up? Did you have to go
I
to
just,
the hospital?
yeah, I just threw them all up.
Did your parents know
Yeah.
or anything like that? Or,
My mom knew.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's got to be extremely tough. I mean, because I never really thought of you getting bullied in school for your weight and stuff like that. Cause it just, I don't know. It just does. It's like, you're just Sammy. It's like, I
Mhm.
don't see you any other way. It's just, you're just Sammy. And I don't think to myself of any of the hardships that you could have dealt with, you know, being bigger growing up, especially with the fucking idiots that we grew up with in the town that
Mhm.
we grew up in. I can only imagine. So what was that like for you? Did that start early for you, or was that something that started later on?
Well, I think I've always been like a chubby girl, like even as a kid. Like my mom used to get pissed at my grandparents. Like I have an Italian background, and so I used to go. I spent all my time as a child at my grandparents' house, and they used to feed me to the point where I would be sick because that's how you show love, right? So at a young age, I definitely, was on the heavier side for being a child. And as I got older, um, you know, even to this day, there's still people that, will make comments. But like now I'm just like, I don't give a fuck
How do
what
they
you
make
think.
comments now?
Like, I guess like not so much like recently, but like when I was single, like um, you know, just guys saying shit and you know how guys are. You're not one of those guys, but there are douchebags out there that are superficial and only care about what people look like. And like it doesn't even have to be like something mean either. Like things like, oh, you're pretty for a big girl. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's like a compliment and like a diss at the same time. Like I think some people think that they're, being nice when they say that, but now I don't really, it doesn't bother me. Like if you don't like me, don't fucking look at me. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, trust me, I'm definitely
Yeah.
about that. But yeah, I didn't even think about it from that perspective either, because that is such a douchey thing to say. Oh, you're so pretty, dot, 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 for a big girl. And
Yeah.
it's so unnecessary, but I could see people saying that. And I could see people saying that with sincerity, like they're saying something really nice to you and not
Hmm.
realizing that they're actually being an insulting piece of shit.
Yeah. Cause like I'm just pretty, period. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Point
Like
blank.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't have to go any further than that.
Right? That's like even bringing race and stuff into it, like a different race, and
Yeah.
you'd be like, oh, for an Indian girl, you're quite pretty, or something like that. It's just like,
Yeah.
they're just
Could
a
you imagine?
oh, it happens all the time, I'm sure,
Yeah.
especially in the GTA. You get anybody from Milton around anybody of color, I'm sure. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sure of it, right? Has that had long lasting effects on you, the way people have bullied you and made fun of you? And do you think that that could be contributing factors to your anxiety issues that you have today?
I'm very judgmental of myself. Like, for example, I made pies for Thanksgiving, and like, I just, I put like my heart and soul in it, and I tried to make them like so beautiful. And I think that they turned out well, but I, there's a but I could have done better here. I'm waiting for people to try it to, you know, tell me that, even you said, oh, the pumpkin pie is really good. And I'm like, oh well, I'm gonna have to try it to see if you're just like bullshitting me. I'm very hard on myself in every aspect of my life. I feel like I need to be perfect. And like, although I know like I'm not even close to perfect, I judge myself on everything. Like like as far as like physical appearance goes, like I try to like make myself um like I do my hair, I do my makeup and my nails, and I do all those things to like make myself feel better. But I know like when I look in the mirror, I want to throw up.
So needless to say, if I was to ask you, do you love yourself, would the answer be no on that one?
Um, I have my moments.
But in the grand scheme of things, if I guess you don't really experience, like you haven't really experienced like a bond of like love for yourself sort of thing. There's a lot of loathing kind of there. And the reason why I ask you all this
Definitely.
is because I get all this. I understand
Mhm.
to a degree, obviously, because I don't understand exactly your plight. But for years, I hated myself. I remember I was working at QRC, obviously, with your husband. You know that. And that was, I want to say 2018. Yeah. So things were getting really bad with my mental health, and I was breaking down in a way that I've never broken down before. And the HR representative at QRC at the time was like, you got to go. You got to go. You got to get yourself right. You got to do whatever it is you need to do, but you can't come here no more. Not until you get yourself figured out and fixed up. So part of going on short-term disability is that you have to go and see a doctor of some kind of therapist or whatnot. They can't be your family doctor. They have to be specific into the mental health field so that they can say, yeah, this person needs to take an undetermined amount of time or whatever have you off. And I remember when I went to the appointment, I started having such anxiety and I started like bawling my eyes out before I even started talking to the guy. And the guy asked me what my biggest problem was. And I said, I hate myself. I said, I'm like the king of self-loathing. Nobody loves me or hates me more than me. And that was like a super eye-opening experience because fast forward a few months later, and in 2019, I got out of a relationship in August. And I kind of looked at the mirror at that point and went, what is it about them that keep, no. And I stopped myself right there. And it's like, it's not them. What is it about you that keeps allowing all these things to keep happening, to keep allowing these type of individuals in your life? And then the common denominator happened. And that was, I don't love myself. I couldn't give a fuck if I lived or died half the time. I kind of just floated through life hoping that one day something was going to change. But then I realized that I had zero self-love, like zero. So I had to learn to start loving myself. And I attribute a lot of the great things that are going on in my life now through self-love and learning how to love myself. Now, do I love myself every day? No, but I love myself to a point where I can feel comfortable in my own skin having a podcast, being able
Mhm.
to show my face to the world and being able to fail or take chances or to step out of my comfort zone. And these would not have been possible without that self-love. So I wonder aloud, because you have done so much, even with not having that love for yourself, that if you started to gain that self love for yourself, where would you end up going from that point? That's what's on my mind right now.
Yeah.
Do you ever wonder that
Well,
yourself?
I do. I do because there's like so many things that I've wanted to do um in my life that I just, I never pursued it. I've never I may have tried, but like I didn't really try. I was doing Epicure and I was like, okay, I'm gonna like step outside of my comfort zone. I was gonna go on lives, um, you know, a couple times a week or every day and do cooking videos. And I had one person who made a comment about me. Um, and that was it. I haven't been back. Um, I have this, um, I feel like I need to like be um done up, if that makes sense, um, at all times. Like even when you told me that we were going to be on video, like the first thing I said was like, oh my God, like I need to figure out a way to make myself like look good. And, you know, I just before we came on, like I put my makeup on, put lipstick on, like I didn't really do anything with my hair, but like all those things crossed my mind, because all I could think about is, okay, well, what are people gonna say about me? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you feel like you're going to be judged because it seems like every
Yeah.
time you take a chance on something, some asshole
Yeah.
comes around and takes the fucking carpet right from under your feet every time.
Yeah.
That's too bad. Well, you know what? The thing about with my social media accounts and my YouTube channel, I'm on that shit like flies on rice, if or flies on shit, sorry. And if anybody talks any sort of shit or says anything negative, I'll delete the comments like that. I don't entertain it. I don't respond back, because when I first started this, I released such a cringe video onto my YouTube because I still don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm figuring out more and I'm getting better as I go along. But I reflect back on my first like promo video that I did and I released on YouTube, and I only got one comment, and it was months later, and it was some random person that was like, you are by far the worst and you have no business doing a podcast. Absolutely no one will listen or hear you. You are fucking awful. And that stuck with me and it actually was part of the reason why it took so long for me to do this. And it was the reason why when I first started doing this, that I did it audio only, because I was so embarrassed by what that person said. And I started to believe that person, like, you're right. Like, why am I doing this? I have no background in this. I've not gone to school for this. I have zero idea what I'm doing. I hate looking at myself as it is. I still don't listen back to my own podcast. Never. I have yet to listen to a full episode from start to finish. To me, just listening to myself is just cringe, period. Not necessarily what I'm saying, just listening to my own voice. It's like, oh, I don't want to listen to that shit. But because of that guy's comment, I didn't even want to like look at myself. I felt so bad about myself that I almost didn't even do this. So I can completely understand where you're coming from. And that's why people don't understand that just because you can go online and you can speak words doesn't mean you should. And
Mhm.
especially don't project your own shitty bullshit onto other people, because you have no idea when you're projecting your shit because you feel bad. I know you're wanting to make others feel bad, but you have no idea what the long residual effects are by
Mhm.
saying something so fucking moronically stupid. Like, I don't go online, I don't shit talk nobody. I don't go on celebrity things and say disparaging things, because I still understand they're people and I still understand they can see all these things that are being said about them.
Mhm.
And it's unfortunate that people, because I was on your ass about that shit. I'm like, I will come on and do lives with you. I can even like, be like the host kind of thing and guide you through it or whatever have you. I said, I'll do anything it takes. And I didn't realize the extent of why you stopped doing that. And I was even going to ask you, do you even do Epicure at all anymore?
I do. Um, I just don't go on lives because I feel like when like the best time for me to go on a live is like when I come home from work and I'm gonna cook dinner, right? But like after a 9-hour shift at work, I don't come home with like perfect makeup and hair. And like the last thing that I want to do is come home and like redo my makeup and fix my hair and then go on a live. It's a lot of work. And so at one point I was like, you know what? Like I'm just gonna just go on there. Like it's my friends and my family mostly. Nobody's like gonna go on it there and be like, oh, her makeup doesn't look perfect or her hair is, not brushed or something like that. But this happened to be like a random person who had been following in like my Epicure group, and she I guess like my profile picture was like when I had blonde hair, and then I had dyed my hair back to black, and she literally like ripped me a new one saying like she couldn't believe I stole somebody's profile picture, and like I look nothing like the person in the photo and whatever. And obviously like it was a photo that I took on Snapchat. Like I had a filter on it, like I had like perfect looking skin, you know what I mean? Like Snapchat is like
Deceiving
a
motherfuckers, deceiving motherfuckers, them
it's a
Snapchat people.
blessing. It's a blessing and a curse because like I've taken some bomb ass pictures on Snapchat. I still look like me. I just look like, like I have like flawless skin, which like nobody has unless you're like a baby or like a
I don't
young
know.
child,
I
you know
don't
what I
know.
mean? I mean, like not a single wrinkle anywhere. Um, but at the same time, it gives me a complex because I'm like, I want to look like that all the time. Like, I really wish that I could look like that. And I think that's why like tons of people have like, um, like,
Self-confidence issues.
well, self-confidence issues, but like are going and getting like plastic surgery and like I've had lip fillers, but like I would love to get like Botox and do my whole face if I could, but like that's not realistic because I don't have money to do that. And you don't just do it, it's not like you just do it one time and you're golden. Like it's something you have to like keep up with on a constant basis. And do I really want to like go down that road? Not really, no. Because that's not me. Like I have to be realistic. Like I have like wrinkles, like I'm getting older. It is what it is. But yeah.
It
Um,
totally is what it is.
yeah.
And when it comes to what bothers me so much about Snapchat is that it's hard enough to be a woman as it is. Now, I don't know this firsthand, obviously, but I have enough female friends and know enough that it's difficult to be a woman in today's world, in the world in general. Every single decade has had a new set of challenges for women. And now it's like women already feel bad about themselves as is, but you give this little app that puts in your face and it's like, oh, if I just swipe on this filter and that filter, I look like that. Well, I want to look
Mhm.
like that all the time, just like you said. So that leads down to, bad surgery work and things like that. And I know who Carmella is from WWE, right?
Yep.
She actually just posted a picture of herself today on Instagram, and this woman's beautiful, all done up all the
Mhm.
time. She is absolutely beautiful, and it's funny. Her gimmick right now in the WWE is most beautiful woman in all of
Mhm.
WWE, and she has a spot at that table 100%. But she released a photo today of her just no products, no hair done, no whatever. She's like, this is who I am 70 to 80% of the time. This is what I always look like, et cetera, et cetera. And guess what? She looked amazing. Alexa Bliss is
Mhm.
another one. And don't you even say a bad word about Alexa Bliss. I will not tolerate it on this show. But
Oh, Alexa thought you were talking to her.
yeah, Alexa thought I was talking to her. I'm like, what the fuck is that? But Alexa Bliss without makeup, it's like, can you just never wear makeup again, please? Because like you look great with
Mhm.
makeup, but you look so much better without it. So I commend, celebrities and stuff for doing that because all eyes are on these people and you got to show them that you're fucking human, because just like you
Mhm.
said, it's not realistic to keep up with the Joneses, so to say, with your
Mhm.
appearance all the time. So I think it's cool that you realize that. And i think I think what needs to take place, and it's not something that can be over time, but for you to break through that shell and whatnot, there's going to have to be a little more conversations in the mirror, looking in the mirror and getting used to what you see back, and loving and accepting who you are as what you look like. And I know that's not easy and whatnot, but I feel like you will be able to do so much more in this life once you start building the confidence of loving yourself. Once you
Mhm.
realize it's okay to not have your makeup on. Because, yes, not just for, a big girl, you are a really pretty human being, a really pretty woman. So,
Thank you.
the second that you can start to own that shit and believe it yourself is when you'll really start taking off. So get to
Thank
it,
you.
Sammy Bear. Start fucking loving yourself, God damn it.
Yeah, I try. I
It's easier
try.
said than done. I still have my
Mhm.
battles with it too sometimes, but I don't as much anymore. And honestly, I attribute a lot of my successes to that starting point because I feel like it's a
Mhm.
snowball effect from there, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's been a
For sure.
really great conversation, and there's honestly so many more conversations to be had. You've been a great guest, and you know what? Thank you for sharing. Like, fuck, you shared an experience that no one, including myself, that's really close to you, has ever even heard. And for you to do that publicly, and for you to come on camera today and show confidence, because whether or not you know it, you've been showing confidence on the camera the whole entire time. So honestly, good for you. Don't watch this back and dissect yourself. There's no need for that. You've done great. I'm sure someone's going to hear this and it's going to make a difference to them. And that's what this is all about. So Sammy Bear, thank you again for coming on the show today. And we'll definitely be having you back again soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. And before you go, is there any piece of advice that you can impart our listeners?
Oh, geez. Um, Honestly, like as far as just as far as like mental health issues go, like just try to find what works for you. Like honestly, meditation is like amazing. And if you haven't tried to meditate, um, like you really need to, even if you don't suffer from any type of mental health issues. Meditation is like it's so good for you. It helps you sleep better. It helps you like get like breathe in good oxygen and stuff like that. Like that that would be like my advice to anybody in general with mental health issues or not, is to start meditating.
I couldn't agree more because one of
Hmm.
the other catalysts to all my success, and I owe my previous guest, Susan Weber, so much for, is introducing me to meditation. And
Hmm.
if you look in the descriptions, I'm going to place a link for my public playlist of all the different guided meditations that
Hmm.
I enjoy doing. I encourage everyone to check them out. But yes, stilling the mind, when I do these shows, I sage my whole entire room and I meditate before I do these shows because some people are clueless to it, but I am a nervous wreck every single time I do this because I'm like you in ways. I'm hard on myself. I very much expect perfection. And if I'm not sounding like a pro, or if I'm screwing up my words, or if I'm really nervous and stuff like that, usually a good meditation beforehand helps calm those nerves. So great advice, Sammy. Meditation all the way. Again, check out the description for this episode. You'll see a link to all of my favorites meditations. And again, we'll have you back on again, Sammy, and it doesn't have to be about mental health. I really, really, really want to talk with you and your sister, Jamie, and even Mel for that matter, on topics ranging from COVID, but especially, you know exactly where I'm going with this. I definitely want to talk about conspiracy theories, especially with Jamie. Because, Jamie, if you're
Yeah.
listening, we know you know your shit. You know your shit too. You guys have gone down those rabbit holes, and there is a lot to discuss there. So that's a little sneak
Oh yeah.
preview for the next time that you're on.
Sounds good. And honestly, if I can just quickly give you some feedback, because I know, you are hard on yourself about how you sound and everything. The first time that I heard you, like your first episode, like I was blown away. Like you have a voice for this, honestly. And I was just listening to like you and Mike, like just talk back and forth, and like you guys are super entertaining, and just when you're just like bantering back and forth together, you honestly, like you guys are going to go somewhere with this, and I feel it in my heart. Like you guys are doing really well, so keep it up.
I appreciate that. And honestly, it'll be exciting for when Mike has done his tour in Saskatchewan. But yeah, I appreciate your compliments on that. And we really miss Mike on the show, and we can't wait to have him back on the show. So again, thank you for that. And I'm trying not to be emotional about it, because you know me, Pisces me, but it's just that little bit of feedback. Just it's what literally keeps me going, because sometimes I'm like, this, how could people be entertained by this? Who am I? And so, yeah, thank you very much for that feedback. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Well, I've known you for a long time, and I've seen you through many ups and downs, and like you're just doing so well now. It's very proud of you.
Thank you, Sammy. I really appreciate that.
welcome.
I'm proud of me too.
Good.
But
You should be.
on that note, next week, actually, we got a really great interview on the show with recording artist Farrowin. It's not heroin. It's not Pharaohs. I fucked this name up like 2 or 3 times during the course of this recording, but it's Farrowin. She's an incredible actress. She's an incredible artist. So tune in to next week. And until then, I'm your Canadian Talkin Shop, Stu Francis, signing off.